So after some consideration and a little test driving, I just, you can see here, I took some duct tape and taped the camera to the back window, kind of just ran the wire through the cab to decide where to mount it. I played around with the under the mirror, I played around with tailgate, you know, bumper, trying to think all the different ways because I use a bicycle hitch, a trailer hitch or whatnot, but I just, and then we tow motorcycles in the back of this, so I really felt that that position high enough up there was going to be great. Let me go ahead and show you how I chose to get access into the cab and how to tie into that. All right, I am going to take the time to hide my cable, but I never go through that much work until I know that I'm happy with a product or you know, and that goes for a lot of things. Even when I'm doing home stuff, computer stuff, anything, motorcycle accessories, make sure and test drive it before you go through a bunch of work. Before you go through all the trouble of, you know, running hidden wires and so on. So what I did here is took a just a jumper battery that I went and found a good ground on the chassis so that I could take advantage of the vehicle's ground to complete that path there on the battery. And if you don't know much about electrical, hit up our channel for all our other how-to videos on that. But basically, per the instructions, you're just going to take this red wire coming out of the backup camera there. You can see I just have it duct taped here right now. And watch what'll happen. I'm just going to take this and put it on a 12-volt source that has a complete ground. And you'll see there that the backup feature on this camera does indeed work. So I have that confidence to go ahead and run this wire because I'm kind of doing a little bit more complicated setup on this. Like I said, I'm going to run the wiring through the headliner. So what I'm doing to clean mine up for my installation and to hide the wires is take an electrical tape fish, they call it. That's pretty cool. It's a stiff wire, and I've pulled back like minimal amount of paneling so I can run the wires, you know, through the header here. I've got this loose, so I took the mirror off the center dash here, and this wire's stiff enough that I think I can just run it all the way back through. I'm going to take one more panel off and then be able to get myself back to that hole without having to take the entire header off. So let me go ahead and keep getting that ran through, and like I said, I'm just gonna take the power wires and then the auxiliary wire, put some tape around that fish, and then pull them through. All right, I've been able to make it through the headliner with this fish tape with hardly having to take anything off, just a couple lights in that rearview mirror. So this is pretty cool. Another thing I need to do is I need to run my own backup wire, if you will, down the pathway there so that I can attach and lengthen my wire. The one that comes on the rearview camera is just not long enough to make it very far, so consider running your jumper ahead of time, and then I can come here in the end and clean this up and shorten it up as needed and tuck things away really nice. So do not forget when you make your run down your headliner to run your own single wire for that backup parking feature. One of the tips I'll give you here when you're pulling that through is to just take baby steps. With this big a knot, if you will, that was on there, I really had to be cautious, try a couple times, bend it, kind of wiggle around, and I was successful, but it wasn't going to matter if it was one wire or the two because it was the plug-in for the camera, and it was either going to work or it wasn't. So if you're jerking on that thing hard enough, you could end up hurting the end of that, and just going to ruin it. So take your time, and if needed, like I said, lube that thing up and just take your time pulling it through. Alright, so I just used a little grinding stone and a drill bit. I drilled a pilot hole and made basically a slot for my taillight to go down. Then I got one of these little rubber grommets. I'll put links for the kit there. I'll put a little touch-up paint on there just so it doesn't rust. And then I'm going to drill a couple holes, mount that, put taillight on. That part's going to be done. That's going to look nice. This bracket, by the way, you could flip, which I needed to. When I was test driving, I had it taped to the light, and now I decided I wanted to actually mount it to the body. That way, because it's unlikely this is going to be touched much, these last a really long time. But this has 4 bulbs in it, And I wanted to think ahead that if I had to take the tail light off to change the bulb or the cargo lights, I wouldn't have to mess with the camera. So think ahead, it'll be worth it in the long run. Another thing I'm going to do is I got some clear silicone that I'm going to put some silicone around that when I put it back together too, just give a little extra water protection there from when I wash it. I went to the extent of some thread locker on there on the back side of that, and then put a bead of silicone all the way around it. Give a nice good front and side shot of that. If you haven't seen part 1 of this, hit the link below down in the description of this video, but you can actually see how awesome the view was, even with 2 motorcycles in the back of the truck and being able to see behind the vehicle. So it's a great camera location if you're a little unsure. Otherwise, just take yours, duct tape it up, drive around in a couple different spots and see what works for you. As you can see, I pulled that wire from the back headliner and then pulled along the side pillar of the windshield down into the firewall. So here's a shot of that wire that I ran through the firewall, taped it up good again, and then put some silicone around there. So what we do next, I got this little guy. This thing is so cool, but this is basically where you can really quickly, properly add a fuse. This goes into the existing fuse spot, and then it has 2 fuses, one for the original, and then it's already wired inside to grab onto your one hot wire to go to your load, and then it's fused. So not only will I be able to tap into the reverse circuit, but this camera, this part of the camera will actually even have its own circuit protection. How cool is that? And it's fast. So I can do this, and then I'm done, and the parking feature works, and the whole job is done. I'll wrap it up here in a second and show you this installed. All right, so here's that, add a fuse attachment, soldered up, heat shrunk or whatnot, and you can see where the top one is now the camera and the bottom one is the original, but man, it just plugs right into that original spot. I'm going to do a quick test to make sure the camera works fine, and then I like to actually leave this a hair long so I can find a nice way to get the fuse cover on, and then what I'll do is I'll make sure that that I can slide it, give it a little tug and make sure that it's not being pinched in the cover. Well, my friends, that's my review of the Vantop dash cam with the dual cameras on there. Can kind of look at my final installation. I think this is pretty super slick here, but I'm really happy with that. I like the placement, like I said, of where I went with mine as far as what I need it to do. But if you needed to mount it somewhere else, you got some options. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure and subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. If you decide you want one of these cameras for yourself, as always, we put the links below in the description. Please use that link because it helps us as well. We're going to get back at it, reviewing some more products, doing some more how-to videos. So as always, make it a great day and keep wrenching.